The document-based question, or DBQ, is different from the LEQ in that you will be constructing a response with the use of several documents from which to draw your evidence. So, unlike the LEQ, your evidence is provided for you. However, your success in writing the DBQ will depend upon your analytical skills that you use in reading the document. Like answering the LEQ, we can divide our answering of the DBQ into 3 steps. Much like the LEQ, begin by reading your prompt carefully before reading the documents and beginning to write your essay. Remember that you are free to circle and underline keywords and to write in the margins of the prompt in the DBQ's documents. You want to underline the time period, the categories of your prompt, and make note of the historical thinking skills needed so that you can ensure that you are focusing on your response on the right information. In the example prompt, we are not given a time period, but we are asked to use evidence to decide whether Alexander the Great should be considered great or not. This allows us to determine what direction our paper should go, as well as the information we should be looking out for as we analyze the documents. Now that you know what to look out for, you should begin your reading of the documents. There will be 7 documents in every DBQ, and while you will only be required to use 4, one of the easiest ways to earn the complexity point will be to use all of them in the writing of your essay. The suggested reading time for these documents is around 15 minutes. Read each of these documents one at a time. As you begin your reading, do not skip the citation, as it is important that you know who wrote what you're reading, and this is important for sourcing. It may give you critical information such as the date the text was written and other background info. Second, try to summarize the main idea of the document in your own words in the margins. This will help you refer back to each one in your writing. You can also group your documents together by theme. And when you do so, write next to it what kind of document it is. Some suggested grouping categories can be economics, social, and religion, but you're not limited to these. This will help you organize your argument and group pieces of evidence together. Now that you are ready to write your DBQ essay, let's break down the rubric, as it is important for us to have a clear idea as far as how DBQs are scored. Like the LEQ, this rubric is available in the course and exam description from the College Board. It shares the same 4 components as the LEQ, but instead of being worth 6 points, it is worth a total of 7. The first section of the rubric is that of the thesis or claim. Like the LEQ, the thesis statement of the DBQ is worth 1 point. Advice for developing a good thesis statement remains the same as from the LEQ module and the argumentation module. As stated in the rubric, you must respond to the prompt with a historically defensible thesis that is backed by evidence with an established line of reasoning. This means that your thesis statement must outline an argument that will be defended throughout the duration of the rest of the paper. By establishing a line of reasoning, you must also demonstrate how you will be defending your argument. Remember, the best way to do that is to introduce the evidence that you will be using in your body paragraphs within your thesis statement. The second section of the rubric is contextualization, and like the LEQ, it is worth 1 point. Your goal for earning this point will be to write a paragraph of around 3 to 4 sentences that describes the historical developments related to your prompt from the years leading up to its time frame. If we use the prompt regarding Alexander the Great from earlier as our example, we could discuss how his father, Philip of Macedon, transformed the Macedonian military and conquered much of his Greek neighbors before planning the future conquests that would be carried out later by his son Alexander. Alexander's education by Aristotle could also be discussed in order to demonstrate his advanced level of education for the time period as well. But remember, You are attempting to go back in time just a little bit in order to explain how we got to the events that are given to us in the prompt. Therefore, these events have to be related to the prompt and they need to be specific. The third section of the rubric is evidence. Unlike the LEQ, evidence for the DBQ is worth a total of 3 points. You're awarded 1 point for the use of at least 3 documents addressing the topic of the prompt. You're given an additional point if you are able to support an argument with the use of at least 4 documents, and another additional point for using at least one piece of historical evidence that is beyond those found in the documents and is relevant to the argument in the response. This evidence must be different from that used to earn the point for contextualization. It is important to note that you need to cite the documents by referring to them directly by using statements such as stated in document 3. So be sure to actually refer to the documents directly and not just mention information from the documents without explaining where it came from. The fourth section of the rubric is analysis and reasoning, and it is worth 2 points. The first point is awarded for sourcing at least 2 documents. This means that you are able to demonstrate how its historical situation, audience, purpose, or point of view is relevant to your argument. You should be able to attain this point if you adequately analyzed and explained your evidence in support of your thesis. The second point is awarded for complexity, and there are a number of ways that this point can be earned. One of the most straightforward ways of attaining this point is to merely use all 7 documents in supporting your thesis. You can also earn this point by successfully sourcing 4 documents instead of just 2. Unlike the LEQ, this point can be awarded for part of the essay in the DBQ. Now that you have become more familiar with how to answer a DBQ, it is now time to practice the skill. You may now access the Practice DBQ assignment included within this margin. Please use the rubric and refer back to this instructional video for guidance as you work on crafting your response. We will conduct a peer grading exercise within class. Please be prepared to discuss your responses and be prepared to comment on your experiences that you have encountered in the DBQ writing process.